Good morning guys and welcome to another vlog. It honestly feels like such a long time since I filmed a just regular, chilled out, cozy day in the life kind of vlog because I've been really busy lately. But today is going to be a really fun day and I'm super excited to bring you along and vlog it. But before we get into all of the fun stuff I'm going to be doing today, I thought I'd just fill you in on what I've been up to for the last couple of weeks because like I said, I've been really busy. So the main thing that's been taking up all of my time is, as you know, for the last few months I've been doing my yoga teacher training, and at the end of June that training came to an end, which means that I'm now a fully qualified yoga teacher, which is a really exciting thing to say, but also feels quite surreal because obviously it's something I've been working on for ages. Obviously I've been doing the training for the last few months, but even before that I was reading books from the reading list and just getting excited for the training, and it's just been something that I've been anticipating for such a long time. So now that I've actually completed it and I'm a fully qualified yoga teacher, it's super exciting but also a little bit surreal. For the last week or so, I've been putting some plans in place for a live online yoga schedule so people can book classes with me and then I teach them a class via Zoom. So that's kind of as close as we can get at the moment to like an in-person studio class because it is still live. So they're taught by Zoom, and I actually will have the booking information for that in the description box down below. So I currently will be running 3 classes a week. I'll be having a Monday morning 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. power flow, so really energizing and fast-paced to get you in a good place to start the week really energized. Then on a Wednesday evening we're doing a vinyasa flow. This will still be very energetic, but we'll be working on strength, flexibility, moving with the breath, and just having a great time flowing through some yoga. That will be Wednesday evenings 7:15 till 8:15 p.m. And then finally on Thursday evenings 6:30 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. I'm going to be running beginners yoga. So that will just be a vinyasa style yoga class. A vinyasa just means essentially that you are moving with the breath, but in this beginners class we'll be taking it a little bit slower and breaking down the poses a little bit more, because sometimes if you go into an open level class the teacher will just say the names of poses, sometimes in Sanskrit, and if you've never done yoga before you've got no clue what's going on. So we'll be breaking down the poses, explaining the alignments that you can make sure that you're practicing safely, and just feel like you can build up some confidence that then you know what you're doing to go into an open level class. So all 3 of those classes will be costing £5 each for the class, and you can book them through the link down below. The times are of course British times because I'm in England, but because it's online that means that you can join from anywhere in the world at any time that suits you. So if there's any classes that suit you, please do book down below because it would be amazing to practice yoga together. And then since mentioning yoga teacher training on my channel, I have had a few people ask in the comments whether or not I'll be sharing yoga videos here on YouTube. YouTube has definitely been a plan that I want to put into action for quite a while now. I obviously love making YouTube videos and I would love to be able to share yoga on YouTube. However, I don't necessarily think this channel is the right place for it, so I'm actually going to be launching a new YouTube channel specifically dedicated to sharing yoga flows very soon, and I will of course let you know as soon as that is live. So if you're not interested in the live classes, these classes will of course be free. They will be a little bit shorter being that it's on YouTube, but that will be a great opportunity for you to be able to practice yoga with me as well. So as you can tell, I've been really busy coming up with loads and loads of plans trying to get this new business venture off the ground, and it's really exciting and also a little bit terrifying just because it's something I'm so excited about and I really want it to work out. And then aside from yoga, I've also filmed a couple of 24-hour readathons. One of them is already up and that was a Rory Gilmore 24-hour readathon where I tried to read as many books as I could from the Rory Gilmore reading list. And then the other 24-hour readathon I filmed was trying to see how many of the books from the Lord of the Rings trilogy I could read in one day, and that one will be going up after this vlog actually, so you'll have to just wait and see for that one. But that was like the only time I had to film reading vlogs, and so I haven't had much time for chilled out vlogs, but today is the day and we're gonna have a great one, I think. So it's currently about 8 a.m. on Saturday morning. I've got my trusty cup of tea, and I've also got a good book because I am finally doing some reading. Aside from those 24-hour readathons, I haven't been doing much reading lately because I've been super busy, but I'm currently reading A Sky Painted Gold by Laura Wood, which has one of the most stunning book covers I think I've ever seen, and I'm actually buddy reading this one with Meg from the channel Pride and Fiction and Em from A Little Writer Em, or I was supposed to be buddy reading it with them, but I think I've actually fallen massively behind because I've just not been reading enough. But this is one of Meg's favourite books and I'm really excited to get into it properly. I am currently only on page 63, so I'm not very far in, but it's really intriguing me so far. It's a historical fiction set at the end of the 1920s in a small village. We have our main character Lou, and she gets somehow involved with a rich family who kind of own the manor house in the village, and they're like the sort of male in this family is the lord of this little village, and so she somehow gets involved in their little group, and I think it kind of challenges her to consider who she wants to be and how she wants to act and all of that fun stuff. I'm sure there's going to be some class commentary in there, and the book has already referenced Gatsby, which I love, so I'm really enjoying it. I was slightly concerned going in because the dedication for the book reads, "For my brilliant mum who taught me that the clotted cream always goes on top of the jam," and I was horrified when I heard this point because I'm personally of the idea that if you're having a scone it should be cream, as if that's like the butter. You put the cream first and then the jam on top, and so I was a little bit worried about what kind of thing I was getting into and what kind of author had written this book, but in actual fact the rest of the book has been brilliant, so really enjoying it, and I'm hoping to do quite a bit of reading today. And then my other major plan for the day is that I'm actually driving over to York to spend the day with Em, and it's a beautiful sunny day, which I'm really happy about because we've had a lot of rain lately, so I'm looking forward to spending a nice day in York, hopefully sitting by the canal and enjoying some great food, as we always do when we meet up. So those are my plans for the day, and I will of course bring you along and share it all with you. But for now, I'm going to drink my cup of tea, probably catch up on watching some YouTube. I've been really into rewatching old Zoella Vlogmas videos lately, and I am so here for it. So cozy and I love it, so I'm probably going to go and sit down, watch one of them, and then get ready to head out to York.
Life is in a stream. The ocean called for you and me. Still, I'm in this game, but without my closest friend.
I was just going to show you my finished OOTD, which is a phrase I cannot even say with a straight face because I'm the furthest possible thing from a fashion blogger that you could be. But aside from that, I was going to show you my outfit in the mirror, and then I realised I haven't quite shown you what happened to the mirror the other day. So without further ado, we're dealing with this kind of situation, which makes me look like I've got 3 legs. So yeah, full outfit, kind of, but essentially both Jay and I are really clumsy, and the other day I was stood near the mirror, Jay tripped over a wire on the floor, I then stepped back, tripped over one of our weights that we had in the bedroom, and collectively we fell into the mirror, and that happened, so good that, yeah, love that for us. But I'm just about to head off to York, so I'll see you when I get there.
Fear, it's leaving now. I waited here, but nothing came. So I close my eyes, 'cause you reflect in everything. It's shining through the light in you.
What is it?
Meet cute.
Oh yeah.
Short stories. I love good meet cute.
So it's about 3:30 in the afternoon now, and I just got back from York. It was so nice to catch up with Em properly in person because it's been quite a while. I think the last time we met up properly in person was in like February, and then of course we went into a period of social distancing and then full-on lockdown, so it's only very recently that we've actually been able to go out and meet people that are not in our houses. So it was really nice to catch up, go for coffee, and I had the best time. I feel like I just missed cafes so much during lockdown, so to actually go and sit down in a cafe and I had like a soya yogurt with granola and fruit and everything, which sounds super simple, but it was so delicious. I also got a chai latte, and then I also got a blueberry and lemon cake, which was of course vegan, to take away, and I ate half of that by the river, but then I've saved the other half to have at home, so I'm going to make a cup of tea and have that in a minute. But in general, it was just so nice to catch up with Em. We obviously went for coffee, which was great, and then we also went book shopping, and I'm quite impressed with myself because obviously bookshops have only just very recently reopened, and it would be very easy to go absolutely wild, but I just picked up one book which just sounded incredible. So I picked up Exciting Times, which is by an author called Nisha Dolan, and she is an Irish author, and this book is said to be quite similar to Sally Rooney's Normal People, which you know that I absolutely love and is one of my all-time favourite books of all time. And I just love Sally Rooney, and of course Nisha is an Irish author as well, which is amazing, and she sounds like such an intelligent person. She studied English literature at Trinity College Dublin and Oxford University, so she's obviously very, very intelligent, and I'm really excited to read this, particularly because the Irish Times on the back of this book have said that this book more than lives up to the hype and is likely to fill the Sally Rooney shaped hole in many readers' lives. So I'm really, really happy about this, and I'm also really glad that I went into Waterstones with Em because it was her that pointed this out and mentioned that she's seen a few people on Instagram comparing it to Normal People. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one very, very soon, I think. And I only picked up one book, which I think is quite impressive, but then I came home to see an Amazon package which I haven't ordered, so I thought I'd open that on camera. Ooh, we have The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein by Kirsten White, which I'm very excited about because this is like a Frankenstein retelling, I believe, which focuses on Elizabeth Frankenstein's adopted sister slash wife. So it's an interesting one, and I think this is going to be cool. And have I got a gift note in here? Oh my god, Mary, you did not have to at all. Oh my god. She sent me that book as a little congratulatory present for becoming a yoga teacher. Oh my god, you are the best, and I love you, but you really didn't have to. This is amazing. I'm so happy because I really want to read this book. So that's a little impromptu Saturday afternoon book haul, and I'm now going to dig into the rest of my cake with a cup of tea, enjoy this, finish off watching the Vlogmas video that I was watching this morning before I set off, and then I'm going to start doing some reading of Sky Painted Gold, which I really want to read a good chunk of today.
It shines so true. The light in you. Free, feel free to run.
So I've just been doing a little bit of reading this evening along with a cup of tea, and I'm really, really loving this book. A Sky Painted Gold, as I mentioned, is a buddy read that I'm doing along with Meg and Em. It's one of Meg's favourites, and I can totally see why, because it is just such a captivating read. It's a historical fiction, but it is just so vivid and fun, and is obviously set in the 1920s, so it does have some Gatsby vibes, but also it's set by the sea in Cornwall, and there's an air of mystery around it, so it's also giving me some Daphne du Maurier vibes as well, and I'm just really, really enjoying it. I feel like there's a sense of that you really understand why Lou, the main character, is so enamoured by this rich family, this brother and sister and all of her friends. But then you've also got this mystery where, although they're really welcoming and kind to her, you also know that there's something that they're kind of holding back, and so it's a really, really intriguing read and I'm absolutely loving it. It's also split into a few parts. I've just started part 2 and each part is prefaced by a quote from Gatsby. So let's see if I can actually find them. Part 1 starts with, "And so with the sunshine and great bursts of leaves growing on the trees, just as things grow in fast movies, I had that familiar conviction that life was beginning all over again with summer." And I absolutely love that quote. There's another very similar one which is from Gatsby as well, and that is that life starts all over again when it gets crisp in the fall. And I just love that imagery of things changing and developing with the seasons. And then part 2 is all about the parties at Gatsby's house. So let's see if I can find it. Yes, so part 2 says, "There was music from my neighbour's house through the summer nights. In his blue gardens, men and girls came and went like moths among the whispering and the champagne and the stars." And it's just like so sort of, I guess, evocative of how like just like all-encompassing the parties are, and that's kind of like the parties that the Cardew family are having and that Lou is so intrigued by. But then there's also her sense of being concerned that perhaps she's just kind of there as the like token interesting new person who's not necessarily from a rich family, and therefore she's a bit interesting to them. And so there's a quote that says, "New is always interesting." So one of the people at the party says, "But you're new, darling, and new is always interesting." And I feel like there's that definite sense where she's not entirely sure how and where she fits with this new group of people who seem so different to anything that she's ever experienced before. So I'm really, really enjoying it. I am just over halfway now, so this book has got a little under 400 pages and I'm on page 220, and I'm absolutely loving it. So I'm definitely going to continue reading this evening, but I also do need to edit a video to go up tomorrow. So I might have to take a little bit of a hiatus from reading, but I think I'll continue this vlog into tomorrow and share all of my thoughts because I'll definitely be able to finish this book this weekend, I think. Good morning guys and happy Sunday. I think the last time I spoke to you yesterday evening was when I was raving about A Sky Painted Gold, and I was super excited to carry on reading last night because I'm absolutely loving that book. However, classic me, I ended up getting distracted and didn't do any more reading last night. Obviously I had to edit a video and that ended up taking me a little bit longer than I expected, but I ended up editing the Lord of the Rings 24-hour readathon, which is now going to be going up this evening, and I'm super excited for that video to go live because I absolutely loved filming it and editing it. So although it took me a little bit longer than I thought it would to edit, I really did enjoy it, so I'm really excited to put that live later on today. But that did mean I didn't have time to do any more reading last night. So it is now of course Sunday morning and Jay and I have decided to head into town to do some shopping. Jay needs to pick up a few things, but I don't actually have anything that I really need to get, so I'm probably just going to end up going to some cafes and also to the bookshop. I don't have any books particularly in mind, but some always manage to just speak to me when I see them on the shelves, so there's probably a good chance that I'll end up coming home with at least one book, if not more, but we'll just have to wait and see. So I'm just going to head into town, and then when we get back I don't really have any major plans. It's Sunday, so I'm probably just going to chill out and hopefully get all that reading done that I was hoping to do last night but got distracted from.
Make it once again. And dreams turns into ashes. But here you are still in my arms. It's shining through.
So I'm back from town now and just had lunch, but I actually successfully managed to have a trip into town without buying anything except for a chai latte and a cookie from Pret, because I find the Pret cookies irresistible and I have been really into chai lattes at the moment. It was a coconut rice milk chai latte and it was so good. But I went into Waterstones, had a browse, but I didn't buy anything because quite frankly I have no need for or no room for any new books right now, because I have plenty of books still left to read on my physical TBR and no room for new ones. So I'm trying to be a little bit more like held back in my book buying. Clearly I'm not that great because I bought a new book yesterday, but just trying to be a little bit more reserved. So I'm back now, and the other day, Jay and I finally decided to take the plunge and buy a tent, because we've been talking about camping for absolutely ages now, but we just never ended up getting around to buying a tent. But seeing as this year It looks like international travel and holidays are going to be completely off the cards. It looks like we might end up doing a few more little mini staycations in the UK. So we've bought a tent and we thought it'd be fun to try and put it up in the garden and see how we get on, because neither of us have been camping since we were children, and therefore neither of us have ever had the responsibility of putting up a tent before. So this could be very, very interesting, but I figure it's better to try it here in the garden than when we're actually out wild camping or something like that. So let's see how we get on. So I just finished up reading A Sky Painted Gold and it was spectacular. This was just such an incredible book, and I can totally see why this is one of Meg's favourites because I absolutely love it. I don't read a great deal of historical fiction. I can't remember if I've already mentioned that in this video, but there's something about the 1920s that is just so like captivating that it is just impossible not to want to read about. But I do feel like being set in Cornwall and being slightly more of a country insight into the 1920s gives this book a little bit more of a unique edge, because I feel like potentially just because Gatsby is one of the most well-known and well-loved, rightly so, books about the 1920s that's set in the 1920s. New York and big cities just kind of seem to be synonymous with that time, whereas in this book we get a slightly different angle on that era, and it's just really, really interesting. We of course also have this contrast between those people who are from these really big and wealthy families with lots of money and not much going on except for all of the wild parties that they're throwing, and then people who are from much smaller country places, don't necessarily have as much wealth but have sometimes a much happier existence because they're happier with less and know how to sort of recognize the joy in the smaller things. So we have this ongoing contrast, and there is a recurring quote which kind of talks about how you can be unhappy anywhere, and it's essentially just the way that this book explores the fact that people can often be in different circumstances, but money isn't the avenue to happiness. And this book explores all of the different obstacles that people can face to happiness, particularly in a society where looks and wealth and where you're from, who your family is, play such an important role in who you're allowed to want to spend time with. And I feel like this book just does such an incredible job of exploring all of the structures of society at a time at the end of the 1920s where things were starting to change, and these kind of obstacles and barriers that were in place in society that separated people based on things like wealth and background were starting to be broken down. Of course, it was set at the end of the 1920s, so there was still a huge amount of change yet to come as we went through the rest of the 1900s and even still into like the modern day right now. But it was a time when there was a lot of change. Young people were starting to sort of craft different paths for themselves and recognize that maybe like just finding someone to marry and settle down with wasn't necessarily all that life had to offer. And I just feel like this book was incredible in the way that it just explored all of those societal barriers, but also made this really fun and captivating and exciting exploration of 1920s society. And there was romance and all kinds of lovely things as well, and it was just incredible. Having now read this, I'm feeling such an urge to reread The Great Gatsby because I just love that book and it's been such a long time since I've read it, so I might actually start that later on this evening. But for now, it's Sunday evening and I'm just about to go and make some dinner, and I'm super excited because I have a vegan pizza and also some kombucha, so I'm gonna go make that now and I cannot wait. I have now finally started my reread of The Great Gatsby. It is about 9 p.m. and I am 50 pages into this book. It's only a very short one, less than 200 pages, so I don't think it's going to take me very long to read, and already I'm just loving it because I think like Fitzgerald just has such a vivid writing style and it's just so captivating, and you really do feel like you are kind of entering into this bizarre and just such compelling world along with Nick, who is obviously like portrayed as the outsider. And there is one quote which is one of the more well-known quotes from Gatsby, where Nick is at a little apartment party in New York with Tom and Myrtle and some other people, and he says, "I was within and without, simultaneously enchanted and repelled by the inexhaustible variety of life." And I feel like that really does kind of summarise your reading experience of this book, and you really do sort of have that connection with Nick because you are kind of within and without, as you kind of are with any reading experience. As a reader, you're obviously on the peripheral and are an observer, but you also can be transported into the world of the books by the vividness of the imagery, so you have this unique experience of kind of both experiencing and observing what's going on in a story. And I feel like that comes across so well in this book because it is such a unique set of circumstances that you're exploring. So absolutely loving it, and I'm going to do a little bit more reading now, but as it's about 9 p.m. I'm probably not going to be updating you until tomorrow morning, and I have a feeling I'll just do a little bit more reading now and then probably attempt to finish the book in the morning along with a cup of tea. So I just finished up with my reread of Gatsby, and obviously I enjoyed it. I already knew that I loved this book, but it is just such a good one, definitely one of my favourite classics, and it's been such a long time since I last read it, so I was very glad to delve back into the pages of this book. And I'm particularly glad that I went into it after just reading like a historical fiction 1920s book, and again it kind of affirmed that Laura Wood did such a good job of kind of, I guess, like encompassing the vibe of the 1920s, because obviously this book was actually written in the 20s, and I feel like they definitely have very, very similar vibes. And it's just such a good book. I think it has such beautiful and vivid imagery that you really do feel like you're experiencing it all along with Nick, and it's just a great book essentially. And I also feel like this is such a good one for people who are maybe a little bit scared of classics, because it is such a quick and easy read, and I feel like being more of a modern classic is a great entry into reading that genre of books, because it doesn't necessarily feel stuffy and long-winded and boring as some people kind of assume classics are. So I definitely recommend this one if you are kind of wanting to get into classics, but just in general it's such a good book and I absolutely love it. So I'm really glad that I've reread it, because I feel like for the last few years I've kept saying to myself, especially in summertime, because Gatsby just feels like such a summery book being set across one very, very intense summer in New York, I kept saying to myself that I needed to reread it and I just never got around to it. So I'm really glad that I've finally done that. But I think finishing off Gatsby will bring this little long weekend reading vlog to an end. Like I said, it was supposed to be just a day in the life, but we kind of extended it, and I had a great time reading all of these 1920s books because they do just feel so summery and fun to read. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing all of my thoughts on the books that I read over the last few days and seeing all of the things that I got over to as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.